Hey everyone, I'm Kristen, the cross stitching runner, and welcome to my channel. I want to say a big hello and welcome to all new and returning viewers. And if by chance you've stumbled across this channel is all about cross stitch with a bit of life stuff thrown in. And today is Friday, the 19th of June, and it's been a week since I have been to Adelaide for the Sunday Stitches retreat that was organised by Kelly and Nancy. So in this episode, I'll be having a bit of a chat about my experiences with that trip. The ducted heating has just kicked in, so I apologise for any noises that may be happening with that. I'll also be keen to share with you the whips that I've worked on since we last caught up, and then have a bit of a chat about, I guess, plans over the next few weeks, especially as we go into July with regards to winter here in Australia, but more specifically Christmas in July, and my brain just wanting to focus on everything and nothing at all, and trying to figure out what exactly it is my priorities are for the next couple of months, and still trying to stick to the current stitching challenges that I'm working on. So before I jump into all of that, I just want to say a really big thank you to everyone who was able to sit down and have a bit of a watch of my previous episode. It was a very long one, and I don't normally film episodes that long. I know that they can be a bit of a marathon to try and sit through, especially when we've got so many awesome Flosstubers to go and watch and check out. So I just wanted to say a really big thank you for people who were able to sit through that. Now, I know with this episode it is going to be a fairly lengthy one, because I'll be keen to chat about the stitching retreat that I went to, and I am hoping to be as concise as I practically can, and not make this episode as long as my last one. So here's hoping. Let's get into it. With the whips that I've been working on since we last caught up, they flowed on from the stitching plans that I had talked a little bit about in my last episode. And if by chance the last episode was just a bit too long, that's totally okay. My aim for the Stitching of June has been to work on projects that have got snow or wintry type of feelings and themes in those projects. And in the last episode, I did go through some of the magazines and projects, whips and such that I have, to see how many have that sort of wintry, snowy feel about it that I would be interested in incorporating in the month of June. And I was able to come across more projects than I anticipated that had the wintry theme but weren't Christmas themed. And I was able to start two projects, and I've decided to abandon the couple of the plans that I had for starting a few other projects, because I'm just really not feeling it. So let's get into it and share with you what I have been able to do. And the first project that I want to share with you is a new start. It's by Shannon Christine Designs, and it's from the 2018 edition of Christmas Cross Stitch. And I believe I have the book with me over here. Yeah. So it is called Ultimate Cross Stitch Christmas. It's volume 19, 2018. This book has served me so well with some amazing projects in it that I have stitched multiples of over the years. And this Winter Queen that we see on the cover here, this is the one that is by Shannon Christine Designs, and I've actually decided to purchase the digital copy of this from her website, because I just knew it was going to be so much easier to be able to work on the digital copy compared with trying to go through the physical chart, even if I made a working copy of it. I just, when I was looking at the physical chart, I knew that my brain was going to struggle with it, because of just the amazing detail that is in this piece. So I was able to work on this piece for a couple of days, totaling in 470 odd stitches. I started this piece on fabric by Paddock Lane Designs called Purple Flowers. It's a 32 count even weave, and it's a medium size, and Lisa has it listed as an Aussie fat quarter. Now, the wonderful thing of stitching this on purple fabric is that a part of her dress isn't showing up very well at the moment. The colours on the chart at the moment are DMC threads of 340 and 341, which is why they are blending in so well with the fabric. I am stitching this 202. Oops, sorry for not being very stable at the moment. Now, actually, this is the way. Here we are. So even with the digital chart, I've struggled with this because I would miscount a little bit, or I would start some of the stitching in slightly the wrong spot. I'd be off by a couple of fabric squares, and it meant that I would need to frog a bit, which is why we're seeing some of the threads on the fabric as they are. I am looking forward to putting some more work into this piece because I know she's going to look beautiful as I continue on with it. And with the way that I've progressed with my winter stitching for June is I am still wanting to work on the AFL stitching challenge and use that as my basis. And the slight difference for June is that I have decided to use a decision wheel, pardon me, based on an app that I've got on my phone, and I've entered in the different projects for June, and I will then spin that wheel and assign the winning piece to the team that won that particular match for that round, and then use their winning score to determine how many stitches I put into that piece. So, for example, the Fremantle Dockers and the Geelong Cats played last night, and Fremantle won, which means that I would need to spin the wheel to then figure out which project I would stitch based on the win that Fremantle got, and their final score was 99 points, which means that I would need to put at least 99 stitches into the piece. Now, historically, what I've done with the AFL Stitching Challenge is assigned projects to the teams based on team colours, perhaps the name of the football team. For example, with the Geelong Cats. So therefore, I'll work on any pieces that have got cats, or kittens, or tigers and leopards and so forth that are associated with a cat family. And it was a bit of touch and go there. It looked like it was a close game, and it looked like I might have been working on another new piece that I'm just about to share with you, which is Tiger Cub in Snow, or at least that's what I'm calling it anyway. And Tiger Cub in Snow is from the Cross Stitch Crazy magazine, which is the edition that I'm not totally sure of because I'm looking at the cover here. It is October 2009, issue 129. And we see the tiger cub just over here. And with the tiger cub, it is designed by Pollyanna. And I'm just finding the page now for where the tiger cub is. It has been designed to be stitched on 16 count Aida, and I've decided to stitch this piece on 14 count Aida, and we'll get to that super soon. And with this piece, here's a better piece picture of what it will look like when it's done. And it is Pollyanna Pickering who designed the chart, and it is so cute. It really is. And with this particular piece, here is what I'm up to. Apologies for the threads all over the shop. It was on the 16th of June that I started this piece, and I put 298 stitches into it. And what I have decided to do with this chart is to actually mark off on the actual magazine with a coloured pencil where I've stitched, and what my aim is to do is to use a different coloured pencil every time I work on this piece, so that way I can try and provide you with some stats on my progress and such. The difficulty though is because it is a physical chart and my maths isn't great. I'm not going to be able to provide you with extra details that we're able to get from, or easily from, Pattern Keeper and similar chart or similar programs rather, because again, my math is crap. It is not great at all. With all of that said and done, I've just found some more details about measurements and how big this piece is going to be, and all the jazz that goes with it. So if I were to stitch this on the 16 count Ada that this has been designed for, it would measure out to being 12.5 by 17.5 centimeters, which equates to 5 inches by 7 inches. And it's got the stitch count of 80 stitches high by 112 wide. So it is one of those cutie patootie type of designs, and it's going to be good. It does recommend DMC floss for all of the stitching. It's got a little bit of back stitching in it, but for much of a muchness, it is just going to be so cute. In terms of the actual fabric I'm stitching on, this is printed fabric that is DMC. It is fabric that I purchased from Spotlight, but I imagine that any of your LNSs that stock this kind of like DMC fabric, I do have some similar fabric by DMC that have yellow and orangey type of tones to it. This one I picked because when I open it up just a little bit more, we can see that it has those really nice sort of evening, afternoon glows to it that I think will just complement this piece super well. Okay, so they are the two new pieces that I have to share with you. The next one that I have to share with you is one that I haven't worked on for a while, and I'm getting back into it again. And now that I am getting back into it, I am reminding myself of why I enjoy stitching on it. But I'm also reminding myself why I need to be set up on my dining table or somewhere that I can have a large amount of space, because it does require a fair amount of gloss, but it has a lot of confetti in it to give that detail. And the chopping and changing is, I find uncomfortable, but it is well worth it. I'm just bringing up the cover page and we'll get there. So the piece that I'm working on is a hot cross-stitching design. It's called Blue Mountains Walking Trail, and I've not kept track of when I stitched it or when I started it, but this is what it's going to roughly look like when it's done. It is based on a photo that I took up in the Blue Mountains several years ago in November. It was around the time of when my boyfriend turned 40. It was roughly around that time where for a couple of years in a row, we would go to a few different places. And the point, though, is this is where I'm up to. I'm stitching this 1/1 on 25 count easy grid fabric. This gridded fabric is 20 by 20 compared to the 10 by 10 that we typically see on the fabric with the grey lines. This is using DMC thread, and when I first started stitching this with the square over here, it's a really light square. Initially, I did stitch it 2/1, and it was me just testing things out a little bit because I hadn't worked on this fabric before, and I definitely found that stitching 1/1 gave me better coverage, and it didn't feel as thick or congested if I kept doing the 2/1. And I'm very much am enjoying this. And if I wasn't doing the winter themed stitching, this piece I try to have associated with the Carlton Blues in the AFL Stitching Challenge. And yesterday I put 118 stitches into it. And even though the 118 haven't really made too much of a difference in terms of dramatic change or anything like that, at the moment, those 118 stitches are filling in the gaps, and I would definitely need, with this piece, to put in nearly 1,000 stitches to really start to see that difference between, say, now and the next time we see this piece. Anyway, this piece is just looking so good, really, really good. Now, the next piece that I have to share with you is one that I am super excited about because I recorded this segment earlier today, and when I was looking at it through the camera at that stage, it really took my breath away. Oh my gosh, just the amount of progress I've made with it, and the fact that we can really now start to see some key features of it. So the piece that I'm talking about is called Carousels. It is designed by Avalon Stitches. It is a pattern that I purchased off Etsy, and it is also a piece that I took with me down to, hang on, Adelaide, and a lot of people were quite interested in what I was working on and are keen to see the progress for this piece. So if anyone is new and hasn't heard the story, this particular piece I'm working on is a piece I want to enter in the 2027 Canberra Royal Show. The show happens every year in February. It's typically the last weekend or so of February, and it this year, or this coming year rather, the theme is celebrating 100 years of the Canberra show, and it is something that I am super excited about. I didn't realize that it was only 100 years, because I fully thought that this show had been happening for a lot longer than 100 years, especially since Canberra celebrated its 100-year anniversary, at least. No, perhaps it's been longer. Anyway, Canberra's been around for a few hundred years. I'm getting my dates. I'm going to stop talking about the history. Let's get to the stitching, because if I keep talking, I'm going to embarrass myself for getting details wrong. And it's embarrassing because I am a Canberra local. So this is Carousels, and let's bring this in a bit. I've been focusing on the bottom of the chart where we're starting to see the definition for the people. Um, I am so excited about how this piece is looking, and this is actually almost, just trying to fold this up a little bit. Okay, so this is roughly the height of the piece, where this is charted to being wider than what we're seeing it, and what my aim is. And I've been talking about this a little bit down at Adelaide, and I know I mentioned it in some previous episodes as well, that with either side of this piece, I want to also stitch a part of Grand Nice Pantry and a part of another piece that has some farmyard animals in it, just to help commemorate that. To me, at least, the Canberra show is about a variety of things. It's about the carnival rides. It's about the animals that are brought into town to show off and for them to potentially win prizes. And then it's also about the CWA, so the Country Women's Association, where they are proud women who live on the land and are typically known for being able to make amazing foods and preserves and floral displays and cake decorating, and then the haberdashery side of things with regards to quilting and sewing and stitching and all the other jazz that's part of it. And over the years, Canberra, of course, has modernised, and we've got a variety of things that go with it. But to me, those things that I've listed are the essence of what the show is about. And this is where I just want to pay homage to it. So my part of why I've been focusing on the bottom of this piece, so I'm trying to straighten this up, is to fill in all the gaps and get as much of the bottom stitching to then use that as a bit of a guide for the pieces I want to stitch either side. I still have a little bit of stitching to do up the top where we see the Ferris wheel, and as time goes on, that will fill in as well. I am just starting to get that itch of starting the stitching for the other two pieces, because I don't want to run out of time and then not be able to enter anything into the show. And I've been talking about wanting to do this for several months now. So I've not kept an exact record of how many stitches I've put into this, because I have marked off quite a bit of the pattern for areas that I'm not going to stitch in terms of the thread DMC 3865, and that's where the stats are a little bit skewed. So I know that over the weekend that I had with down in Adelaide, I think over those 2 days, it was, I think, 300 or so on the Saturday, and then maybe another 400 or so on the Sunday. The 400 and such stitches help a lot when I'm working on the blocks of colour, but it's coming along really well. If I haven't mentioned already, I am stitching this 1/1, 25 count Zweigart fabric. The fabric is printed, so the mottling marble we see on the front is just that on the front, and it's white fabric on the back, sorry. So the next piece that I've been working on is called A Stitch in Time. It is a very familiar piece amongst many of us stitchers, because many of us are stitching it. I'm stitching the mini version, and I know that there are a lot of people who are stitching either the regular or Max Colors version. And what I've done for this particular piece is count down, because I'm using gridded fabric, and go down to where the winter component is, and hopefully, yes. So going down to the winter shelf, and I've started stitching the snow that we see on the bottom there. Oof. And this is where I'm up to. And to help put into perspective, Using the grids as guides and such, you can possibly see a little bit of stitching that's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. That's potentially about as wide as this piece is going to be, and that's actually kind of surprised me. I also have this fear that I haven't counted properly, so I'm actually keen to do some more work on the winter shelf and try and get as close to that little segment of stitching as I practically can to reassure myself that I haven't miscounted in any way, shape, or form, and hopefully it all lines up. So with this particular bit of stitching, it was a few hundred stitches. I don't remember the exact amount of stitching. Now, I typically have this piece associated with the GWS Giants, with the AFL. They're having a bit of a shit season, so I haven't been able to work on it as much as I'd like to, but who knows? We'll be okay. Just getting a bit more work on this makes me feel better, knowing that it has been a long time coming to finally get down to the winter section and then start working my way across. So that should be all cool. Now, the last piece that I have to share with you is called Winter in Stars Hollow, and this is what it's roughly going to look like when it's done. It is designed by the Black Needle Society, and I'm having battles with the fabric. I'm stitching this on 28 count black linen, and I purchased this fabric from my L&S a few years ago, and I thought that I'd give myself a bit of a challenge. I always am reluctant to stitch on linen, but I guess I'm reluctant because of previous experiences. I then forget and then want to give linen a chance again. So the challenges that I'm having with this fabric, aside from it being black, I have worked on black fabric before, so I've got some hints and tips up my sleeve for how I can work with it. My challenge is that I'm half a stitch out, and it's annoying me. I've restitched and tried to fix things up. The half a stitch is a lot to do with lighting and lighting. So I thought that I had enough light and that the pants that I was wearing were light enough to be able to help show the holes effectively, and they have and they haven't. Part of the problem as well is the fabric, where some of the linen threads are thicker than others, and that is having an impact on my stitches as well. But I think for the largest part is the lighting, and I'm just feeling frustrated with it at the moment. So the slight positive is that up in the top corner where we see the coffee cart, that's where I'm out of balance a bit. I've got the right number of stitches, it's just not quite lining up or matching up, and at the moment I feel like I'm semi-comfortable with it because it's not going to have too much of a negative impact for the stitching down underneath it. I need to work on this a bit more to get comfortable with it though, and I need to make sure I've got good overhead lighting, and then having some white fabric or a white towel or something on my lap as well, so that way I've got the best of both worlds to balance things out. So with this particular piece, I also needed to frog the bell, and that's why we're seeing some of the light stitches underneath the bell looking the way they are. It is. I do love Black Needle Society's charts, though. I love that. I love how creative Katie is. She is amazing. all that said, I'm stitching this 2/2 with all of the charted colours. So that is pretty much it for all of my stitching. Let's get into the retreat and my experiences with that. The Sunday Stitching Sunday. The Stitching Sunday retreat was absolutely awesome. The organisers, Kelly and Nancy, did a fantastic job with getting everything organised, and I can appreciate just how stressful it all can be with the liaising with different peoples to get things done and trying to be organised, and then just hoping everything goes smoothly and as well as it practically can when the time comes. So for anyone who I haven't been able to chat with and doesn't know about the retreat that I went to, it was down in Adelaide, and I have travelled to Adelaide from Canberra several times, and I had a friend who used to live down there, and the stitching retreat was actually not too far away from where she used to live. So the retreat was at Mawson Lakes, and my friend used to live over at Golden Grove. And when I would hear some of the locals talking about the suburbs that they either work in, live in, visit, whatever, some of the suburb names actually tickled my ears a little bit. It's like, oh, I recognise that suburb name, and so that was pretty cool. Everything travel wise went smoothly. Nothing got lost. I got everywhere I needed to be on time, and I did get lost a tiny little bit in the sense that when I arrived in Adelaide, I had made the decision to catch public transport from the airport to where I would be staying, Mawson Lakes, and I was staying in the same hotel that the event was happening in, just to save me time and stress and all the rest. And the event was happening at the Crown Plaza, and I also knew that we were having dinner Saturday night just down the road, short walk away, at the Mawson Lakes Club, and somehow in my brain I thought that was where my accommodation was. So when I got off the train, I was walking down the hill a little bit and saw the sign for the Crown. I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool, there's the Crown, that's really cool, nice and convenient, blah, blah. Cool, I need to head towards the club though, this is where I'm going. So it took me a little bit to zigzag through the streets a bit to get to where I needed to be. And then the lovely lady at the reception desk for the Mawson Lakes Club helped me to understand that I was actually at the wrong place, and thankfully it was just a short 5-minute walk, if that, up the road. I was still early for check-in at the Crown uh, accommodation. But the fantastic thing was that at the reception area, Lisa from Paddock Lane Designs and one of her assistants, Alex, were there stitching away. I think they were waiting to potentially check in as well, and or they were at least waiting for their room to be ready, rather. And it was fantastic being able to see some familiar faces straight away, and it meant that I was able to sit and chill with them and do a little bit of stitching, chat and catch up. I was able to leave some of my things with them while I went and grabbed a bite to eat for lunch, and yeah, it was all good. It was all just sitting, relaxing, and just slowly unwinding a bit from chatting, traveling even. Canberra did have some early morning fog Friday morning, but it didn't delay my travels by too much. I think it was only by about 15-20 minutes. So instead of arriving in Adelaide at about 9 a.m., we arrived, I think it was about 9:30, 20 to 10, give or take, so it wasn't too bad. When traveling by air from Canberra to Adelaide, it's about an hour and 50 minutes, depending on tailwind and that kind of thing. But no, it worked out all good. Friday night, yeah, Friday night I didn't sleep as well as what I would have liked. Room was beautiful though, very, very comfortable bed. The brain was just doing brain things. So unfortunately Saturday I had a horrible headache for most of the day, and I just thought it was like a tension headache, and that I was dehydrated from the previous day with traveling and everything, but yeah, it just didn't go away. So thankfully I was able to just go and grab some Panadol and a few other things that I needed just to feel better. But the really awesome thing with the actual event though was, even though I might have known maybe one or two people at the actual event, it was the fact of knowing that we're all like-minded people, in the sense that we're all there for the same thing, that we all enjoy cross-stitching, and it was so cool being able to see such a variety of different projects that people were working on, and then being able to just chat with different people as well about non-stitching stuff, and just knowing that they were just friends that I hadn't met yet, because if we were ever stuck or concerned about what to talk about, it's like the first question is easy. It's like, "What are you working on right now? Can I have a look at what you're stitching?" And then boom, the conversation can just flow from there. The table I was sitting at, lovely group of ladies. So I was sitting at a table with Melissa, Heidi, Phyllis, Carolyn, Amanda, and I want to say Tiffany, but I'm not totally certain if her name was Tiffany, and then Karen. So Karen was sitting on my right, and she was one of the vendors there. She was selling some beautiful project bags that a lot of people were very keen on. And then I am very proud of myself for not fangirling and embarrassing myself, let alone embarrassing other people around me, because I got to sit at the same table as Carolyn, who is also known as the Flosstube stitcher in our community, and I have enjoyed watching Carolyn's videos for many years now, and I even had watched her channel that she first had many years ago, and I'm so thankful that she's back filming again. And even though it's under a different name of the Flosstube Stitcher, she all the pieces that she's working on are just beautiful, and I enjoy seeing her progress on those pieces. And I am kicking myself for not taking photos of the event to be able to share with you. I know that Melissa and I had talked about it, and I chickened out. That's the best way I can put it. I chickened out, and uh, there's I'm sure I could make up a whole heap of different stories or thoughts on why I chickened out. It was chickening out because I didn't have the confidence to take the photos, because in my mind it was like, oh gosh, what if I get caught? What if people don't like that I'm taking pictures of stuff? That's pretty much what the stories were that I was telling myself. And what I can say though is that if you are following Carolyn the Flosstube Stitcher on Instagram or via YouTube, I know that she was taking some photos of the event over the 2 days. Also, if you are following Paddock Lane Designs or Lisa from Paddock Lane Designs via Instagram or via YouTube, then I know that Lisa was also taking photos of the event. I'm sure that there are other people as well who are taking photos to help share and post up on Instagram. So if you don't know or follow Lisa or Carolyn, hopefully you do know someone who has gone to the event, and you're able to see those photos. I know that we had a brag table, and many people brought in amazing pieces that they have worked on. Some of them were fully finished in the sense of being framed up. Others were just finished, and people potentially have the plans of eventually framing or whatever it is that they choose to do with them. I know that with the fully finished pieces that are jumping out of my brain, there's one piece, I don't know the name of it in terms of what the name of the cross-stitch piece is, who the designer was, or anything like that. It is this large rectangle, like portrait size piece. It would be A3 size at least. It'd have to be bigger. It is this beautiful picture of a lady, and it's in pastel colours. It's almost like she's with this long flowing blonde style hair, pastel colours in terms of like purples and pinks and lilacs and the light ivory colours as well. Just absolutely beautiful and stunning work. I'm not sure, from what I could tell from certain angles, it might have been full coverage, or at least partial coverage, 3/4. It was absolutely stunning. Then there was another piece that was fully finished. It was a rectangle piece as well, but it was landscape, and it was a Randall Spangler piece that I'm not fully certain on the name of it. I'm inclined to say something like along the lines of the Candy Train or something similar to that. I have seen other people working on this piece as well, and uh, it's one of those Randall Spangler pieces that has the green dragon in it. And for anyone who's seen the St. George bank ads here in Australia, you might remember that there was this cute little dragon for a little while there in those ads, and that little dragon reminds me of the Randall Spangler pieces, and potentially vice versa as well. Um, so that piece was just absolutely stunning as well. Um, then just even seeing the other pieces of work that people have worked on has been amazing, and has helped to give me that motivation and that encouragement to keep working on my pieces. And I'm glad that I was able to take the Biscornu with me down to Adelaide, and I was able to show people, some of the people, especially those on my table, hey, this is what I made, and that it's a hot cross stitching design, and um, all the other jazz that goes with that. And uh, yeah, it was just absolutely awesome and amazing. It was just so nice to be around kindred spirits for all of that. Um, the with Saturday, didn't go outside too much. It was just overcast, raining, and all the rest for most of it. Then Sunday, it was a different day of weather. We actually had blue sky, sun coming through, all the rest that goes with that. I got to on Monday. I travelled back home to Canberra, and I shared an Uber with Nat, who on I think some social media things she's known as knit knitting that or nat knit that stitches, something very similar to that wording. And I'm so sorry if I've butchered the wordings. All I can say is that Nat, you're awesome. You helped me out so much with just having that company to go from our accommodation over to the airport. I had been feeling a little bit anxious, mostly because I was traveling by an Uber. I would have been feeling just as anxious if I was traveling via a taxi. even though to an extent taxis are a form of public transport, it just feels a little bit more personal when I'm in when I'm in someone else's car. It's different if I'm out in public, in terms of catching buses, planes, trains, and the like, where there's just a lot more people around, and I'm probably about as safe catching an Uber as I am catching public transport. But yeah, it's just a weird way my brain works. But it was just really nice having that company just to go and chill. We had coffee. Coffee was really nice. Best coffee of the weekend that I had. Yeah, so that was really, really cool. Now I did actually buy some stuff when I was at the retreat. So aside from Karen, who I mentioned, um, who had the project bags and such, we also had, I think it was the Crafty Goblin. They had a store, a lot to do with magnets in terms of needle minders that we typically attach to our projects. They also had like a necklace style things where you could attach like a needle or such to a special magnet charm thing. Then I think there were a few other things as well. I'm feeling really vague on that one because, um, yeah, I wasn't needing any extra stuff from their store at that stage. And then I know we had Alex, she had some project bags as well, and also these special types of project bags that actually roll up. And the idea of them, because I hadn't seen them before, and she was awesome with letting me know that the idea with these particular stitching mats and such is that you have your project rolled up in it, and then let's say we go to a retreat, but the tables might be a little bit dirty or something, and we don't want to get our projects dirty. So we'd unroll the project bag, and it'd be a special clean mat to have our project on, and then when we're done, roll it back up again. Everything's all sweet. So that I think was a pretty awesome thing. And then Paddock Lane Designs had a stall as well, and Lisa was able to ship quite a lot of fabric across to Kelly before the event, and then she also brought some with her as well. There's also some other haberdashery style of things she brought along, including I think there was like scissors, needle minders, needles, some floss from Cottage Garden Threads. There were, I think, some needle minders as well. I probably already mentioned that. There was a variety of cross stitch patterns, including Paddock Lane cross stitch patterns. And I actually purchased one of them, and it was called Raining Love. I remember seeing Lisa posting this, I think earlier this year, if not the year before, and I'm thinking that I might get away with stitching it on some of her fabric, which is called Romance. It's a 25 count even weave, and it's classified as a large US fat quarter. And to help put into perspective, this is a fabric and it looks really nice. I'm not quite sure what colour thread that I would stitch Raining Love in as yet, but I think it'll be a perfect piece to work on um, for the month of February when that rolls around. And the really cool thing as well is that in February I won't have any um, stitching specifics at that stage. So I would have ample reason to work on it. And then I also purchased this fabric called Aquamarine. It is a 32 count linen. It's a small. So yeah, Very cute fabric. Not quite sure just yet. I've got some thoughts about what I might work on this. I do have a chart in mind that I'm designing at the moment. And I know that I have some leftover fabric from when I had stitched Under the Sea that I'd entered into the 2026 Canberra Royal Show. Thoughts and ideas. Now, the last bit of fabric that I purchased is called Flower Garden. It's 32 count opalescent even weave, and it's considered to be a small as well. Not sure how well this will show up because it's overcast here today in Canberra. Yeah, it's looking okay. The greens could be greener. The blues are showing pretty good. But no, it's all good. This is good. Again, I'm not totally sure what I could stitch on this. This is giving me spring garden or autumn garden fairies kind of feel. My thoughts might change, but it is really, really pretty fabric. And then we also received some goodies in terms of a special goodie bag. Now, in one of the things in the goodie bag, now it took a little bit to figure out what this guy was, but got a little froggy. So I'm sure with some blue tack, I'm thinking of having him sitting on top of my computer monitor that I'm looking at right now. I think that could be a really cool, fun little treat. We then have, sorry, I accidentally pressed some buttons. There we are. We then have a Stitching Sunday needle minder. And it was also this really cool bag. And it had our names on it. Also tagged. This makes me think of Carolyn and Wombat Hollow Crafts with the Shannon Christine Designs Nutcracker cross-stitch buttons. Oof. Okay, so Panic Lane Designs created a free design of free ornaments that we all received. I'm looking forward to stitching these up in July for Christmas in July. In the bag, there was also this card for a $50 studio credit toward a family photography session with Michelle Petkovic or Petkovic photography. So this is just something that is very, very cool. There was and there was also in here a project bag with a free Santa design in it, and it came with all the finishing things in it as well. The idea would be to make like a little Christmas card or something similar to that out of it. Again, I'm looking forward to stitching this up in July. And then what else? There's also this cute little tin, and that's where the needle minder, the cute little frog, and some of what have we? And we've got like a fob and hang. I'm losing my words, but these are floss drops that are coming to mind. Floss drops. So that was pretty much it. And oh, and there were scissors. There's cute, cool little scissors. How cute and cool are these? They are awesome. They're really good for travels and all the rest. So that was really cool. And then Melissa was awesome. She was so sweet, and she bought everyone on the table this really cool cat needle minder. I've already been using this a bit with some of my stitching, and I just love the design that's on this cat. And I was mentioning to Melissa that at the top of the cat, it's got a little hoop or ring in there, where I'd also be thinking that it would be a cool little ornament thing where I could put it on a necklace chain, and I could have it as a little thing for a necklace. So that I thought was really cool. Or it would be a nice little charm if you were inclined to have as a bracelet charm. So those are a couple thoughts. And then Karen, who had the stall, she for the project bags, she had also brought everyone on the table a little bag of some goodies in it, and one of it was this ring for the floss drops, and then we also had another really cool pet needle minder, which I think is really awesome and cool. There we are. Oof. And then there's some chocolate nibbles. And then, wow, the Silks for You green floss. It doesn't have a specific name. All I know is that it's Silks for You #5. Now, this is where I think already I'm doing a really cool floss drop, because I think this shade of green goes really well with the shade of purple for the jumper I'm wearing. And it has me thinking that this color combination could be really cool for any of the Halloween style patterns. I might even incorporate this floss in the Halloween Quaker that is due to come back out in October, maybe September, because September, we know for some people it's Sampler September, might also be September Smalls. We've got a few different options going on. So that was really cool. That was just awesome. The other little funny story was that when I had first gotten to my accommodation in Adelaide, and I started decompressing, relaxing, and unwinding, and just thinking about my travels over the last few hours, I had fully convinced myself that I had accidentally left the driver's window down of my car, because I drove for about half an hour from where I live in Canberra to the airport, and I've left the car in the outside car park, and it is a secure car park where you need to grab a ticket, and then to get out you've got to pay X amount of money based on how long you were there for. And I was then getting a bit stressed and worried about it, because I knew that the weather wasn't going to be great over the weekend, and my partner was down at the south coast, and he has the spare key for my car, and I could have called up family or friends to say, hey, can you go check on the car? And there was the suggestion that my brother, being a mechanic, he might be aware of how I could get the car window up if it was down. I do remember being in a fluster when I had travelled to the airport, because I had intentions of parking undercover. That didn't work, so I didn't get to where I needed to be, so outside it was. I had to have the window down to get the ticket out of the machine. The good thing is, when I got back to my car Monday lunchtime, the window was up. Everything about the car was safe and sound, nothing to worry about. So I caused myself some stress for no reason at all. So with all that said and done, I do have a little bit of stitching plans to talk about, and then we'll do a wrap up. Okay, my aim is to try and keep this as quick as possible, because I'm very much aware that we're past the hour mark, and I had said at the start of this video that I would try to keep this shorter than my previous video, so let's try and keep that to be the case. So a couple of weeks ago, and even throughout this video, when I was talking about winter stitching and the plans that I have for the different projects that I wanted to work on during this month, some of those plans included a couple of projects out of the Cross Stitch Collection magazine with Winter Fairy, Running Free, where we see the horses running through the snow, and then the Japanese art that's down in the corner here. And I have decided on some fabric by Paddy Klein Designs for Winter Fairy, which I think will still look good. I am not convinced at the moment of working on Winter Fairy at the moment, mostly because I've already got Winter Queen happening with Shannon Christine Designs, and so it may be best that I keep working on Winter Queen, and when I finish that, perhaps start work on Winter Fairy. And depending on how things go with me finishing off some of the projects, Winter Fairy could come into play if I can finish Scotty Dogs. So to help put things into perspective, the projects that you saw already for winter stitching, they're going to stay as is. No more new projects are going to come into play. Also, since today is the 19th of June and we have, another 13 days, give or take, until the end of June. Yeah, I don't feel like it's worth my time starting another project that I know I probably won't pick up until, say, this time next year. And a part of me thinking about all of this has a bit to do with progress that I want to make on Carousels that we saw earlier. And you've already heard me talk quite a bit about my plans for it and the two pieces that I want to stitch either side of it as well. And then another thing that triggered my thinking was an interesting chat that I'd had at the retreat for the Stitching Sunday people. There was a lady I was speaking with who's part of a stitching group. Stitching group that's hosted on Facebook that is primarily about getting whips finished and trying to see some progress on them, if nothing else. And the fantastic thing is this person has been, whenever we've caught up, she's like, come, you should join, it'd be fantastic for you. And so asking more questions about how it all worked, and definitely a fantastic concept, and it has certainly helped many people who are part of the group to see progress on larger projects, but also get a lot of smaller ones finished as well. And at the moment, I'm really enjoying the AFL Stitching Challenge, and I have actually been able to finish a couple of projects because of that particular challenge that I've set up for myself. And I know that there's similar stitching challenges similar to the AFL Stitching Challenge that's part of the YouTube Facebook group for full coverage fanatics, and that is got a similar concept of what I'm trying to do. And at the moment, with the AFL Stitching Challenge going for several months throughout the year, that at the moment I don't have the capacity to be able to add other challenges as well, because I know my brain would just be overwhelmed and I would have trouble keeping up. And then because I'd be putting pressure on myself to stick to whatever the plans I'd initially set out with, and then it'd be like, this is getting too hard, I give up, I'm going back to my default of what I have been doing prior to this special whip group, and then then it'll be all okay. But what also prompted me thinking about change of plans with whips and such was the person I was talking with. They provided this alternate perspective that probably had been lingering around in my mind, but for other components of my life, of uh, using this particular whip group as a way of focusing on existing whips rather than getting halfway, three-quarters of the way through a project and then just not finishing them, or taking a break from them and then jumping into new ones, like I'm doing a little bit here with the stitching in winter projects. And I can see the perspective of where they're coming from. The difference is priorities in what projects are going to get worked on, when, why, and how. So it's it was just something that had stuck with me for a few days, and my headspace had been a little different at the time, where I had been feeling grumpy, and it was my thoughts that were making me grumpy, nothing else. Where the thoughts initially were saying that um, that I can't focus on anything, and therefore by being part of this particular group, it would help me focus. That was just a bit of where my head was going, and it's just like, this is not good. This is not healthy to keep stewing over said thing. And my memory is potentially faded now as well, for that conversation, and so I'm really potentially only remembering certain bits of it. And hey, who knows? Maybe in a few years' time, I might join the group. It's flattering to know that the group is inclusive, and so there's no harm or foul for not joining at the moment, and that it is also knowing that the group is there should I want to become part of it. And I love that there are so many options that we have out there now for what can help us, for motivation to get things done. And for me, it's about the enjoyment of the stitching rather than just getting things done. So as much as I say, yeah, cool, I've designed this, I've designed that, and then just not stitch it or take forever to stitch it, it's for me putting the pressure on getting something finished by a specific time, with the exception of the pieces that I'm wanting to enter into the Canberra Royal Show. That's a little bit different because it's pressure that I'm putting on myself, because I see the goal in mind. I see the reward in it, rather than just saying, "Oh, cool, I finished this thing. Okay, next." I have the reward of seeing it framed, and then knowing that I get to put it out on display for other people to see as well, and to hopefully help them with seeing that um, cross stitch is more than samplers, and cross stitch is more than some of the things people have seen their relatives work on, that they aren't interested in. That we've got such an awesome wide range of things to work on, that that it could be something pretty cool. So yeah, that was just a lot of the interesting things that it um, sparked the thought of changing plans for that. And who knows, I might come back and stitch on running free, because I mean, at the moment, it's the fact that it's got horses in it. There's a lot of white in it, though, a bucket load of white. Um, and yeah, I feel like I need to work on some different fabric that wasn't white to make it easier to work on as well. And the Japanese art, it's a beautiful piece. Again, it's a lot of white, and something that is just not in my interest wheelhouse, because that's the other thing as well. Because I'm a process stitcher, I need to enjoy what I'm working on. And um, if I don't enjoy working on it, I don't want to have my cross stitch feel like a chore. That was the other thing. I do like the competitive component of stitching to an extent. So to help put into perspective, with the Black Needle Society, I have loved that they have these moments of focus, where you have this hour of power, so to speak, where you've got the key theme going, yep, okay, you need to work on something that has balloons in it. So you find a piece that fits a prompt. You then stitch on that for X amount of time, and you've got a password that you fit in with that as well. And then take a few pictures, pop it up on social media, and you then potentially go on the running um, for a prize or something like that. And I guess to an extent, that's sort of where this particular whip group on Facebook fits in as well, because my understanding is that you do earn sort of points or something, so to speak, that can go towards a particular chart or something that may be a reward. That sounded cool. It's still not quite enough motivation for me to work towards, and have as a not enough for me to fit that competitive component of what I do. So thank you for the rambling. That's pretty much just the plan. So I do look forward to winter stitching coming up. I had mentioned about some stitching. I'm hoping it's in here. No, it's not. It's around somewhere. I had mentioned a piece called something. Um, Scotty Dogs. I swear Scotty Dogs. Yeah, there they are. Scotty Dogs. So, I know that Scotty Dogs are going to come into play in coming weeks. So Scotty Dogs are part of Ultimate Cross Stitch. You might actually see them at the top of the book, just above the word Ultimate. So Scotty Dogs, I've got how many more to stitch? I'm halfway, so I've got another 6 to stitch. And these guys are cuties. I love this breed of dog, and this fabric is just so nice to stitch on as well. It's really nice and soft. It feels like it's a Joberlin. It's definitely an even weave, and it looks like it's a 28 count. Anyway, these Scotty Dogs probably stitch up in about a day, maybe a weekend, depending on what else is going on. So yeah, some of the oldies and goodies and oldies are going to come back out for Christmas stitching. In a couple of weeks' time, will probably be near the start of July. Hopefully by then I'll have found out about a job I had an interview for a few weeks ago now. I am being impatient, and because of my impatience, I keep thinking that I haven't gotten the job. I don't know yet. I don't know for certain. So this is just me being impatient. But that said, let's wrap this up. And thank you again so much for your time today. I have greatly appreciated you being able to set aside a bit of time to get a bit of stitching done, hear about my experiences with the retreat, check out what my whips were, and progress with them. and see a few new starts. And then if you still like itchy nose. If you still like what I've said, what I've shared with you, and you're keen to see continued progress with it, I would love it if you could do all those fantastic things of liking, subscribing, ringing the notification bell so you get all of the notifications about when I next upload videos like this one. I would love to think that in a couple of weeks' time, the video will be a lot shorter, closer to that 30-minute mark, because I probably won't be going to any more retreats for a little while, and I'll just be stitching. So until next time, thank you so much, and happy stitching, everyone. Catch you later.